Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me on another episode of the Hearts Undone podcast. I'm your host, Sean Porter, and this week I have another very special guest joining with me today. This is Nikki. She actually attends my church, Bridgewood, with me. And do you want to kind of introduce yourself? Just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Um, my name's Nikki Millar. I'm a mom of two. I've been with Bridgewood for probably a grand total of 4 years, going on 4 years.
Okay.
Kind of slipped away for a year, and I've been back for maybe about 2, 3 months,
Okay.
somewhere around there.
Awesome. So what do you like? What do you do like outside of church? Like
I'm a
job?
lunch lady.
Job. Okay,
I'm a lunch
awesome.
lady. I hang out.
That's awesome.
My job pretty much is playing with the kids.
Yeah.
Playing with the kids and
Hmm.
just hanging out. I'm actually going to go for a part-time para job on top of that. I'm hoping to
Oh, what is
go
that?
in. It's a paraprofessional.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much, I'm going to help out
Like
a
as.
student
Oh, okay.
just with their day-to-day
Hmm.
things that they do.
Yeah.
Help them along with their studies or reading or taking them from class or just hanging out with them type thing.
Yeah.
I just feel led to do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I love
I
that.
love the
Serving.
kids. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. And that that interaction that you have with them,
Hmm.
it's so beautiful. It's so pure.
Yeah.
It's it's so innocent. It's awesome.
They're so real, children.
The realness is just so, and they're funny.
Yeah.
Like they're funny and they really get it.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah.
Yeah. I love. I actually have my niece. She's almost 3 now. She just melts my heart. She
Yeah.
she just
Yeah.
watching her, like, I could be having the worst day and then just hanging out with her for like an hour is like
Yeah.
it just changes my whole mood, and it's
Yeah.
like the best thing in the entire world. And I actually just had a brand new nephew as of this past Sunday. My brother,
Congratulations.
thank you. My brother just had a baby, so I think we're gonna go meet him for the first time this Sunday. So
Oh,
that'll
that's
be
so
exciting.
awesome.
I'm excited to get together with the family and
Yeah.
go meet him. But what grade, like, is it like elementary school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Awesome.
At this school, this will be going on a year that we've been in Holly District.
Okay.
It's been incredible.
Hmm.
I mean, the kids, it goes from latchkey to pre-K all the way up to fifth grade.
Okay.
So I get to kind of get my hands in all of them, and each grade, each child, it's something different to where when I'm out there playing with them, it's Foursquare or,
Yeah.
swings or whatever, and they just bring you back to that youthful. I'm normally it, so I'm
Yeah.
out there running and just going with them.
Yeah.
So
And you can tell, like, we don't really even know each other. This is
yeah,
like our first, like, maybe second conversation we've ever
yeah,
had with each other, but you are very, like, you have what a lot of believers and Christians should strive for, is that, like, very outgoing childlike
oh, thank
spirit.
you,
And
thank
like
you.
me and Elizabeth actually talk about this a lot, is like that when you like watch a child, like maybe like 3, 4, like how careless they are,
Mm,
and like they don't care about anybody watching them or like
mm,
what they're doing. They don't care about judgment or anything. And that's literally how we should live our lives. And like I see that in you, just like
thank you.
briefly meeting you, and that's something that I strive for, because I'm very like, to be fully transparent, I'm very afraid of like judgment, and I like concentrate on it a lot, like fear of man, just like being judged and scared to do anything, like scared to like take leaps, or like what are these people going to think of me in this moment, and like things like that. And I'm really striving for that childlike spirit, like untainted by the world and just like careless and free, like watching a child. And that's pretty much how you live your life. And
Oh,
that's
thank you.
so, is that like, how did that come about? Like, is it just with, like, have you always been like that, or just by spending so much time with kids, or after having kids, or what do you think?
You know, to be quite frank with you, I didn't want children.
Yeah.
It wasn't in my plan to
Mhm.
have kids.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything that I thought about, especially I never thought of myself working in a school or anything like that.
Mhm.
I always had my own agenda.
Yeah.
Um, and it wasn't until Christ pursued me um, that my life changed. And it was the pursuit that and is unending. Just what is the words that I'm looking for? I can't even come with the right words, but it's like this.
There are no words to
I
describe him
know,
and his
and
love.
that's the thing though, because the my first bout with it was, oh man, I knew it was him. There's just like this feeling,
Mhm.
when you're having an interaction with him.
Yeah.
And that's what led me to Bridgewood at first. And
Mhm.
then when I fell away and went back into the world, you kind of lose that. You lose, and fear and anxiety and everything crept in.
Mhm.
And it was actually my daughter that brought me back.
Yeah.
And it was her her just, I miss church, mama. You're a much better person when
Mhm.
you're listening to worship music.
Wow.
You're a much better person when you're in the word.
Mhm.
I miss it. And okay, yeah, 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 yeah. And then she didn't give up. She actually went to my grandfather, and my
Yeah.
grandfather came to me,
Mhm.
and we went back, and there was just like this beautiful embrace of coming back with my friends,
Mhm.
and yeah, there was no judgment. There was no where have you been or condemnation
Yeah.
or just like any of that. It was like, I'm glad you're home.
Like welcome home. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like welcome
Like
home.
arms
And
wide open. Yeah.
beyond that, hugs, and you could feel like the warmth and feel
Mhm.
the family. And that was actually the draw the first time around to Goodrich. When I walked through those doors, Elizabeth Curtis was the first person that I had met.
Yeah.
And I knew I was home.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Mhm.
And that's the coolest thing. And I actually asked Amelia why she went after me the way she did
Mhm.
on my hiatus.
Mhm.
And she told me it was the Lord.
Yeah.
It was the Lord telling her to continue, continue. And he pursues, man. He just
Yeah.
goes after you.
Yeah, he does.
He
It's awesome.
goes. Isn't it so good?
Yeah.
It's so unlike anything that I've
Yeah.
ever felt. How about you? What is,
I can't even describe it. It's just supernatural. So
yeah,
there's like no
yeah.
words. There's no like logical words you can put to his presence or his love because it is so supernatural and nothing that we can acquire as like
It's like the cloud nine
yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
It's
Literally.
the next level
Yeah.
of everything,
Mhm. Yeah.
of everything.
Yeah. I always love this quote from what's that movie? Um Jesus Revolution. Did you ever watch that?
Yes,
I love that quote. He's like, these kids are searching for all the right things in all the wrong places. Oh, that made me
that
cry. Every
I
time I
know
watch that
that.
part, it just makes me tear up. I'm like, just if these people only knew, if they turned away from drugs, if they turned away from alcohol, whatever else they're chasing, money, and just looked to him. Oh, when you get that first like encounter and that first taste, there's nothing. Everything else is just bland.
You have to white knuckle him though.
Yeah.
You have to, and that's like my thing that I would, if I could say to anybody through this experience is when you first go about it, you're like, oh, this is just great. This is, and then you go through your trials, and then it's like, it's such a roller coaster. It's
Mhm.
such a wave of everything.
Yeah.
The pruning, feeling like you're in the desert, but just stick with it and stay with it,
Yeah.
because the payoff is in your everyday life.
Mhm.
It's your everyday. It's sticking in the word. It's staying every Sunday, making it doesn't matter what service you are.
Mhm.
If you're online, I happen to love actually being in the presence,
Mhm.
because it's just such a different feeling.
Yeah.
I'm normally right up in the
Yeah.
front area, and I can't dance to nothing, but you just can't help but to move,
Yeah. Yeah.
but you need to hold on to them,
Mhm.
because I know for myself, if I don't, the world sneaks in
Yeah.
so fast,
So fast. Yeah.
so fast,
Mhm.
and 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 you can't serve two masters,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Literally, like, it just feels like you're like, say you miss, like, a week, it just feels like you're drowning. It's just the craziest feeling. I don't know, but I had a conversation, with a friend yesterday, actually. It was a very brief conversation, but we were talking about, like, finding joy in, like, every every day, every season, like, even through, like, the trials, like, just finding joy and being happy about it. Like, let's say your car breaks down or something like that, like, while on the way to work, like, what is it gonna is being, like, angry or mad gonna help you at
Yeah.
all? Just continue to be joyful. Like, it is hard. Like, I'm not saying it's, like, the easiest thing in the world, but being angry isn't gonna do anything for you.
I like to tell the kids at school,
Yeah.
be a bucket filler, not a bucket dipper.
Yeah.
And that is, look at your glass half full,
Mhm.
because there are so many worse things
Yeah.
that somebody else is going through.
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember, I believe my last major surgery for my son was in, I- don't quote me on it, but I want to say it was like in 21.
Okay.
And it wasn't his first. I believe it was, we were on like the third, the third cast, the third major hip surgery. Um, we were at Children's Hospital, and going in through it, it's such a process, to put your child under. They actually allowed me to go back
Yeah.
with him, and I held the mask on him to put him out. And going through that process, and then after going, guys, I'd like to pray with you.
Yeah.
I'd like to pray with you. Can we pray before you? And everybody was so receptive to it.
Mhm.
We laid hands on each other and we prayed.
Yeah.
And I walked out trusting that he had it.
Mhm.
And he put the proper people in there
Yeah.
to do it. And it was a few hours later, they came to get me. And I actually called Bridgewood after we got into our room.
Okay.
And I actually, Pastor Chrissy
Mhm.
answered. And I felt this charge, unexplained,
Yeah.
unexplained peace, unexplained happiness, joy, everything. I spent that time in the waiting room, reading the word,
Mhm.
going through, having my headphones on, listening to worship music, just powerhousing, knowing, trusting. allowing him to do
Beautiful.
his work.
Yeah.
And just talking to Pastor Chris and going, oh my gosh, I don't even, and I'm like, just, just joyous.
Yeah.
In that situation, I can't explain it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that.
He's
That's
so
you have
good.
to. The thing about believing and having faith is, and like asking for prayers, is come you have to come in expecting.
And
You
surrendered.
can't like have any doubt. Like if you're gonna pray, like, oh, I'm praying that this surgery goes well, I'm praying that it's in God's hands, you can't have even like
No.
point zero zero
Mm-mm.
one percent of doubt. You have to pray expecting that it's gonna happen and expecting that he's gonna come through with it.
And you just trust.
Yeah.
And you not only you trust in him, but that the Lord will put the exact people
He
in
will.
your path
Hmm.
that you need.
Yeah.
I have a tribe,
Yeah.
not only a sisterhood, but there's a brotherhood
Hmm.
that he has given me.
Yeah.
And they're more than just that. They've become my family.
Hmm.
They've become, just so much more. They help me along my journey,
Yeah.
with questions, with everything. They hold me accountable
Hmm.
because those are the friends that want to see you thrive
Yeah.
in this is just a temporary place.
Hmm.
They they know that and they're like, "Come on."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Those are the best types of friends. Like I had a conversation about this recently with someone. Like if I see you doing something that goes against the word or goes against God or
Yeah.
sinning or whatever, and I just let it go by, I strongly believe I just don't love you. Like if I am a true believer and I love you with my whole heart, I'm going to call you out on it regardless of how you feel about me calling you out, and I'm going to be very blunt about it and be like, "Hey, you're doing this. This is against God's word. This isn't you. This is far from what you're normally like. This is against like your Christian beliefs. I'm going to call you out on it."
Yeah.
And
That's
all
so
out of
good.
love, not to degrade you, not
No.
to be like, not to bring you down, but to lift you up,
That's
to
it.
make you better.
That's it.
There are like, I will say, and I pray for these kinds of people. There are Christians, I think I talked about this in my episode with Alyssa, is where there are Christians that will judge you in the wrong way, and that's what a lot of people on the outside see, and they're like, why would I want to be that way if that's how that person is? And it's unfortunate because a lot of people are like that, and I pray for them, and I do pray that they learn and that they go about it in a better way. But yeah, it's out of love, and that's like those are like the best kinds of
Yeah.
friends, like I said.
Yeah.
Um, and then I want to go back to the joy thing. Is I believe that's, to me, that is one true sign of like a true believer, is you could be going through the most terrible storm of your life, but if you it's those people that can still get up every day, read their Bible, pray, worship, do whatever, and still like find joy and peace in that whatever situation they're going through. That is like one of the true signs of like a believer to me, is like, and people see that, like, I feel like that truly sets believers apart, is um when they can hold themselves together in like a really difficult situation, like, oh, this person is still giving, this person's still serving even though they're going through all of this. I just think it's truly beautiful when I see those kinds of things, like people going through a difficult time but they're still joyful, they're still following, like it's awesome to see.
Mm.
But yeah. Do you mind if I ask, going back to the doctors, what was the surgeries for? His
My
hip?
son, yeah, it's both. My son was born with a condition called bilateral congenital hip dysplasia.
Okay.
It's it's essentially where when he was born, his hips weren't in the socket,
Mm,
and we didn't find that out until around 6 months.
okay.
Um, and so his first surgery, they were just trying without the actual surgery portion, just to try to get them back into socket.
Yeah.
Well, that didn't end up working out because in order for a hip to, I guess, develop,
Yeah.
especially in children, there has to be pressure in there, and it has to be I it has to just be in there,
Yeah.
and then it kind of grows around it,
Mhm.
and the pressure has to be in there.
Yeah.
Well, his hips were so shallow, it was like this
Okay.
when they were put in. So they had to put them in, and then he was in like his legs were put in a 90-degree angle.
Mm.
I can share some pictures after just to give
Okay.
you
For sure.
a look. But I mean, and then it didn't take. So his second surgery was where they actually had to cut the hip
Mm.
um, and rotate it, and then put metal, three metal rods in both sides
Yeah.
to keep it there to help it grow. And that was like he's had three different. One was a 90-degree angle, then the next was a 45, then his last was a slight bend at the knee with a bar in between.
Mm.
And so he's had those, he's had removals of the um all of the rods and stuff, and then um the doctor couldn't understand, but he said it's mind blowing how far he's come, and I consider that power of the prayer.
Yeah.
Okay,
That is awesome.
because it went from every couple months going to the doctors, um, having to put him under with the injections to get it, with the dyes, just to get him to see, how he was progressing. Um, and he was on so many restrictions. He
Yeah.
didn't learn to walk really until he was like 2.5,
Mm.
and there's just, and have you seen that boy's Cheshire cat smile? Like
Yeah.
that is a
Yeah.
God thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the positive attitude. So I
Yeah.
mean, and we still check it every year,
Mm.
and hopefully, with God's will, that those will be the last of the surgeries.
Yeah.
Um, you know, so I don't know. They're saying that there could be more in the teen years,
Mm.
13, but our God's so much more than
Yeah.
what the doctors say. So,
Exactly. Yeah. And just like you said, just that's what we should strive to be. Like, look
yeah.
at all he's going through, and he's still looks like the happiest kid ever.
I'll tell you what, he he's my Dennis the Menace.
Yeah.
He's been something. I mean, just with the surgeries, just with those things that we went through. I think with him we are at altogether, I think 5.
Mhm.
We're at 5.
Okay.
And uh he's had developmental delays. He wasn't hitting his milestones, things like that. And within the past, I'll even say 6 months to a year, he's a changed boy.
Yeah.
He's rapidly like running, leaping, changing complete sentences. I mean,
Awesome.
this summer he learned how to ride a two-wheel bike. I mean,
Wow.
we went from 6 months ago, he couldn't even dress himself at almost 6 years old
Yeah.
to he's riding a bike, he's dressing himself, he's speaking complete sentences. He's 25 out of 26 letters on his test coming home. The other day he broke out flashcards 1 through 12 and just went through all of them, all mixed up, like
Wow.
leaping
Yeah.
forward.
That's awesome.
That's, I mean, yes, man.
That is
You
awesome.
know,
I love that. I'll continue to pray for him.
please do. I mean,
Yeah.
and you know, just yesterday he goes, or no, I'm sorry, it was this morning.
Yeah.
I met with the girls for some breakfast at with church,
Yeah.
and we were standing in line, and he says to me, and Andrea Moore was on the side of me. He says, "I want to go to church, Mom. I want to go to church right now." It's like, well, honey, you know, we met with our friends. We get to go on Sunday.
Yeah.
No, I want to go now.
Yeah.
You know, there were times where I was throwing them over my shoulder to leave church,
Yeah.
just to leave. I mean, that says something right there.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Wow. I love
It's
that.
so awesome.
All right. That's I'm trying to be like your kids.
You and I both. You and I both.
um I guess if we can backtrack a little bit,
Yeah.
I guess from the very beginning, how did you grow up? Like, did you grow up in like a faith-based household? Did you go to church as a kid, or like what was like the family dynamic back
Um,
then?
my family life was a little bit different than most. My mom had me at 17.
Oh,
So I spent the first 3 years of life. We lived with my nana and papa, her mom and dad.
mhm.
And after that, my grandparents set us up, my mom and I, in one of their rental houses.
Yeah.
Um, and then at 6 years old, my dad started coming around again, and they ended up getting married. Um, they were never real churchgoers, anything.
Mhm.
I was involved in catechisms through a Catholic faith through my nana,
Mhm.
my mom's mom, and I mean, to be quite honest, I would go to church to her with her just for the McDonald's Happy Meal
Yeah.
after we got out.
Yeah.
Um, so I spent those first years in a Catholic church.
Okay.
I think the highest I went was First Communion. I think that's where I made it through there.
Okay.
And after that, I spun. It wasn't really until COVID
Mhm.
2020
Yeah.
is when he like started coming in like crazy.
Yeah.
I started dreaming
Mhm.
of him. I started getting curious, and you know, I saw the Bridgewood Goodrich signs
Mhm.
for the startup date. I
Yeah.
actually missed that, and well, next thing you know, they closed everything down.
Yeah.
So my first like deal with that was, I think it was called 7:30 prayer, and it was with Pastor Sean and Pastor Lisa.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that.
And do you remember when they'd hop on?
Yeah.
And so I started watching that, and then um, I remember watching the Easter edition with Pastor Kurt
Mhm.
walking downtown Clarkston.
Yeah.
Do you remember that
Mhm.
service? It was surreal. There was no one there but him. It
Yeah.
was It was crazy to see.
Yeah.
But it was sort of like that time that I felt the Lord saying, "Come on,
Yeah.
let's do this."
That's awesome.
You know. So
That's awesome. I think that just from what I hear and like just social media and things like that, I feel like that was one of the main times that a lot of people came to know Christ
yeah.
is during COVID. I think like there's some crazy number or something that like I heard. It might have been like Bible sales went up like 900% or something during COVID or something like that. And that's awesome. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, like what else are you supposed to turn to like when you're just stuck at home all day? I mean, there's a lot of things you could, but what a beautiful thing to turn to. Like something so like evil, keeping people apart and keeping people closed off from each other, not being able to go into community anymore together, like being on lockdown and God still working and all of these people start following him like amidst of being locked down and amongst like the evil that's going on in the world and like the sickness and all of those things, like the enemy trying to keep everyone away from each other, and people are growing in their faith during COVID
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I get it. I mean, let me tell you, I understand that spirit of search.
Yeah.
I spent the first part of my life. I'm 44.
Yeah.
I spent the first part of my life head first, grasping for something.
Hmm.
Spun out, alcohol, drugs, you name it, just trying to fill that emptiness.
Hmm.
Because I've never felt whole, complete, it until I'm with the Lord
Yeah.
and searching and getting to know him and walking with him.
Hmm.
That's the only time I feel at my best,
Yeah.
and I'm not longing for something.
Hmm.
And it is the kids. The kids have brought me to that. It leveled me up
Yeah.
of wanting to be better and wanting to be more and wanting to be the person that they can look up to.
Hmm.
And okay, she's in the Bible. What is that about?
Yeah.
And that's the deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think, well, I know that, I mean, I think we've all gone through that, is that search,
Yeah.
like searching for something that's going to fill us, something that's going to bring us happiness, joy, whatever. Um, I mean, I was there for a while too. But he definitely created us that way, though. He created us to have a longing for
Mm-hmm.
something. And the thing that we're longing for is him.
Him.
It's not other people. It's
Mm.
not money. It's not drugs. It's not alcohol, any of those things.
Because they never fulfill you.
Never,
Never.
no,
Never.
never. It always leaves you
Empty.
feeling empty. Yeah. And for me, it was other people, like relationships. I would always be like, oh, I'm only happy when I'm in a relationship because I needed that other person to bring me happiness. Um, and the thing is, everything in this world, money, drugs, alcohol, other people, relationships, whatever, it can all be taken away from you. Your house can be taken away from you. Your car can catch fire, can blow up. Your money can, I don't know, whatever happened to your money. It can all be gone, but no one can ever take
Mm-mm.
God away from you. No one can ever take your faith and your belief in him away from you. And he's just,
That good.
he's the only thing that can fill you and fill that void. Like there's nothing else that will do it.
Mm.
Um, I think I always forget this. Oh, again, I mentioned this in like a previous episode. It's called like there's a book called like Anti-Fragile. Um, Everything in this world is fragile. Like everything can be broken,
Mhm.
everything can be taken away from you. He's the only anti-fragile thing. Like putting your faith and your belief and your love in him, and nobody can take that away from you ever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I love your pursuit.
Thank you.
And I love your
But it's
faith, and it's
him.
very, yeah,
But it's
it
him.
is.
I have to give him the glory because
Yeah.
it's not me.
Hmm.
It's not me. It's never been me.
Yeah.
It's him.
Yeah.
It's his love.
Hmm.
It's his kindness.
Yeah.
It's his.
It's just we're like a mirror, right? He's just giving it to us. We're reflecting
Yes.
it back.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you just sit back and you're almost wowed.
Yeah.
And it's almost too beautiful to even, you can't grasp.
Hmm.
Because I know how much I love my kids and my husband. And then I was reading, I'm not a Bible scholar, so I can't
Oh, me neither.
remember where I
I'm right
read
with
it in the
you.
word, but it was like he loves us more than we love our children.
Hmm.
And knowing that, I can't even fathom or wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
How awesome is that?
Yeah.
How awesome is I I gave him up for a year because yet again I let the world in and took for granted what I had learned in the classes that I had taken and everything, but they are seeds
Hmm.
and they are plant. So I I can remember when I first came back, one of the things that I talked to Pastor Sue about, because when I walked through those doors, I was pretty much doing it for my daughter.
Hmm.
And I can remember standing in worship, and it was the first worship song that came on.
Yeah.
And I stood there and I was just so overwhelmed, and I turned around and I spun and I walked out, and I Pastor Sue had sat down and talked with me because she saw that happen, and I just, the way I could describe it is I felt like a dried lighter, like when you'd flick it, how it's just like that spark.
Hmm.
And I felt so guilty, so shameful, so everything that the enemy wants you to feel
Yeah.
to keep you away. She's like, go back in there.
Yeah.
Go back in there.
Hmm.
Keep going back.
Yeah.
And it happens. If you just keep going, if you just grab onto him, he will walk you through it.
Hmm.
He will take you by the hand and love you through it.
Yeah.
He will.
Yeah.
He is just so awesome.
Yeah. He loves you even if you
Yeah.
run away.
Even when you don't love yourself,
Yeah.
he's there.
Yeah. And a quick note, we both love Pastor Sue.
Oh,
She was the very first person that was there for me when I was going through one of the hardest times in my life. We sat in a classroom face to face, and she just had me bawling for like 2 hours because
Yeah.
so we love her here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can't
Yeah.
hopefully we get to have her on here.
Yeah. She's awesome.
That would be awesome.
She's awesome.
I'm
She's
sure.
special.
Yeah, she has a great story too.
Yeah.
She's an amazing person.
She baptized me.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
she did
out
me
at the
too.
lake. It
Yeah.
was actually during quarantine, or
Okay.
not during quarantine, but it was during
Yeah.
that time.
What lake was that?
Her lake.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I forgot.
She actually we went kayaking with some friends on her lake with her. It was a fun time.
Yeah.
So to go back to that moment you started following God.
Mhm.
You started going to Bridgewood.
Mhm.
What was it that like made you leave? Like why did you stop
What
going?
what had
Yeah, what happened?
you know? I can tell you what led me,
Sure.
but to know the total answer, I don't even know if I have the total answer.
Yeah.
I could tell you it wasn't just one thing.
Mhm.
It was a combination. It's like putting together a puzzle piece, of what made it happen.
Yeah.
And that was, I've gone X amount. Um, I can take a Sunday off,
Yeah.
or the kids are sick. I'm not feeling 100%. I can take another Sunday off.
Yeah.
The word. That's why the word is so important,
Mhm.
because I can remember I read the Bible in less than a year. That was like the goal. Like I
Yeah.
wanted to read it, and I did, and I went through it.
Congratulations.
Thank you,
I've never
thank you.
even done that.
Yeah, but after I finished it, I kind of lost myself in that way
Yeah.
too, because it's like, okay, I finished the school, but where do I go from here?
Yeah.
And so I just kind of, okay, I'd go here and there into the word, or when I take a class, because, oh man, growth classes are so important too.
Mhm.
So, that would keep me in it. And then it'd give me that solid foundation, the life groups, everything. But when I would take away something, it was easier to take something else away.
Mm.
And it was like a dominoes.
Yeah.
And one after the other just started to, and it's easier. And then when you have that, and when you start doing that, the world creeps in.
Yeah.
And that's unforgiving.
Like a thief in the night.
It
Yeah.
That enemy, boy, isn't he a jerk?
Yeah.
I mean, and he just will go at you from every angle and every angle. And if you're not on your game, it's easier to slip away.
Yeah.
And then with who I am and what my makeup is, I'm like an all or nothing.
Yeah.
I'm all or nothing in a partying way. I'm all or nothing in church. I'm all or nothing, in service, like even in helping out with the school, or this or that. I'm all in or I'm all out.
And that's what it should be because that's what God wants. He wants everything or nothing.
Yeah. And so that's kind of how it started, ended up like peeling away.
Yeah.
And it's just that simple.
Yeah.
But I can remember being in different classes, and I really wanted, how when there's the parable, there's a few parables that talk about the seeds.
Mhm.
I want those roots. I want those deep roots. And I could always, even in my first go, I want it. I want it so bad.
Yeah.
I want to be with him. It's just everything. And
Mhm.
so even while I was away, he was at me.
Yeah.
He was at me. And then when I wouldn't listen at the time, he was coming at me through my daughter.
Mm.
And so my daughter, she's got some of her mama in her, and so she was going at me. And that's just where it's at.
Yeah. Yeah. It is easy. Like definitely when we're not filling ourselves with him
Mhm.
and filling ourselves with the word and with prayer, then it's easy for the world to start filling us and to
Mhm.
start creeping in, like
Mhm.
you said. So that's why we have to be super intentional about doing this every day,
Every day.
every
And
single
and
day,
it's not just
even
you
multiple
check the
times a day.
box. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's not you check, okay, I did this in the morning or I did this at noon or what. I catch myself morning, couple hours, sometimes it's throughout my day.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things is I even get to add some stuff in through the school,
Yeah.
and I want to be that light for these kids,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
That's our prayer with my kids,
Hmm.
sending them to school, be the light.
Yeah. Especially with school these days,
Mm-hmm.
all the things that are happening in schools. But yeah, I love what you said, that it's like literally all day, and that's how it should be. I think a lot of people like to separate, I'm going to work and then I'll have my God time later. No, God time is all day,
All day.
every day. You should bring him with you everywhere. It's not like creative time this time, work this time, God this time. He's with you in all of it, and you should be, like I said, bringing him with you everywhere, and shining his light everywhere, and trying to live out his will for you, and just following him in everything, and worshiping him in everything, and giving thanks to him in everything, and just little things throughout the day, like add like even things like, oh, I'm driving, like you can pray, you can say, oh, thank you God for my car, the gas in my car, the money that was able to pay for the gas, like just think like little things like that, um just all throughout the day.
Yep.
And like you said, it's not like a checkbox kind of thing, like going back to you reading the Bible, and you're like, okay, I read it, but now what?
Now what? And that's exactly what it is. Now what? And that's so important too. Like another big piece of this pie is community.
Yeah.
It's the community. It's
Hmm.
your friends.
Yeah.
It's who your world is.
Yeah.
You know, texts, text threads with your buddies. It's the
Yeah.
life groups.
Hmm. It's very, we were meant to be in community.
Yeah.
It's like one of the, like, if you're not part of a church, if you're not going to life groups, if like you can't do this on your own. You
And
can't.
you can't, but it's also you have to do it with
You have to do it yourself too. Yeah.
but you have to also do it with your other believers,
Yeah.
because there is a drastic difference of the accountability and the things that I have to hold myself to a standard
Yeah.
that's not of the world.
Yeah.
The drinking,
Yeah.
you know, a gummy or whatever it is
Hmm.
that the world says it's okay.
Yeah.
21, go for it.
Yeah.
I don't know what the age is for these dispensaries or whatever, but you can go in and now that's legal.
Yeah.
And so, oh, well, since it's legal, it's okay.
Hmm. No.
No, it isn't.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. It's
It's not.
it's
It
it's a
only takes one sip. It only takes one hit, one
mhm.
whatever it is,
Yeah,
to take you down a wrong
mm,
path.
it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
And you can come up with all the excuses you want. to why. Oh,
Had a
I've
hard
had a
day.
rough
I'm gonna
day.
have a beer.
I'm gonna have a beer.
Yeah.
Or man, I can't sleep. Let me get some rest. Let me take a gummy. It's gonna give me rest. It all is a snowball. It
Mhm.
all like builds up, builds up, builds up to beyond of what you
Yeah.
want to admit.
Mhm.
And it takes.
Yeah.
That's the thief. Because you're not who you were meant to be when you're doing that stuff. You're out of, I know for me, it removes me from wanting to read the word.
Yeah.
Instead of being a filler like the Bible and the word and the Lord and everything, and giving you all the things, joy, the happiness, the kindness, all the things. I know for me, I'm I feel guilt, regret, shame,
Mhm.
all those things. And then that just steals. It's stealing
Yeah.
because then I remove myself.
Yeah. I saw this demonstration on Instagram a while ago. It was like the enemy, he doesn't hand you a chain and be like, "Hey, do you want to take this chain and literally ruin your life, lose your kids,
Mm.
end up an alcoholic, lose your money, lose your car, lose your house. Do you want to take this?" He doesn't do that.
No.
He hands you one single link, and just the little links will add up
Yeah.
over time. Just one little thing, and you start making excuses, you start trying to justify everything, and it's not okay. And a lot of people are like, I don't mind offending anybody on here. Like, I'm very against drinking. Like, I don't know how you feel about it.
I'm an alcoholic.
Oh, okay.
I'm
I
an
I
alcoholic.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
sorry.
no, 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 no. There's nothing to be sorry about. I told
Okay.
you I'm saying yes.
Okay.
Let's say yes.
Okay.
I am who I am.
Yeah.
I am unashamed because I am forgiven.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus took it to the cross.
Mhm. How do you currently?
Drink?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No. On my hiatus or whatnot, the year away, I was dabbling with a drink here and there.
Mhm.
I not to say that I hadn't gotten smashed and stuff like that. I had,
Yeah.
but the feeling was different this time around.
Mhm.
Um, Knowing that I had the Holy Spirit in me,
Yeah.
and knowing where I was in my journey before,
Mhm.
so it never was the same as before.
Yeah.
Um, but in doing that and knowing that I didn't have that same relationship with the bottle that I had before,
Yeah.
I chose to, like I said, gummy. I need it for rest.
Mm.
I have terrible sleeping habits.
Mhm.
One of my favorite things is I loved being able to go to bed at 8:30, 9 o'clock. That's
Yeah.
like ideal, especially when my son, one of his nicknames that I started calling him is Rooster
Yeah.
because he's up in the morning, first one up, and he is like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I really enjoyed that aspect. But as an abuser,
Mhm.
I said, I'll just take one at night to help me go to bed.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at you like this because it it didn't go like that. As
Yeah.
by the time, a couple weeks into it, it was another one and another one, and then I'll do it throughout the day. And then it was okay after work because I would never, you know, be around my kids
Yeah.
or whatever. But it was like through that
Mhm.
that I go, wait a minute, here we go again. I
Yeah.
just replaced something else another vice for something else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, um, and it was actually through 21 days and coming back and having my daughter go, let's go back to church. And then this time back, I didn't just do the prayer. I didn't do the prayer and feast.
Yeah.
I actually did a prayer and fast.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? I'm gonna fast the gummies. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I'm gonna fast. I knew he was at me going, this isn't right. This isn't. You don't need to be doing this stuff. Like I felt that even before going back to church. It was the guilt. It was the
Yeah.
remorse. It was all of it. It was
Mm-hmm.
all the feelings.
Yeah.
And during that 21 days, and saying, okay, I'm going to fast that, I actually text Pastor Sue and I said, listen, I know it's not for rest. I had to admit that.
Yeah.
I had to openly admit that,
Mm-hmm.
unashamed, because the enemy wants me to be down here. He
Mm-hmm.
wants me to be shameful. He wants me to hide.
Yeah.
He wants all those things to
Yeah.
keep me from having that hand in hand walk with Christ. So to be able to sit here and talk openly with that,
Mm-hmm.
I'm proud.
Yeah.
I'm really proud because
Proud of you.
I trust him. I trust him that much
Mm-hmm.
that if if you just get on your knees and repent and say, I am sorry, and just humble yourself.
Mm-hmm.
He is that good.
Yeah.
And he changes things. He changes your world
Does.
right before your eyes. And he makes things so much better. And he will pick you up and carry you. And you know what? I'm going to finish strong.
You are. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's awesome.
So, he's so awesome. I love him.
He is. Um, if you don't mind me asking, how long did you have a problem with alcohol?
Oh, I started drinking. Whew, um, I started drinking maybe 12, 13. I started partying.
Yeah.
Um, I come from a family of alcoholics.
Okay.
My mom was never an alcoholic. My father's an alcoholic. His
Okay.
father's an alcoholic, and it goes down the line. So I just started partying then, and then it's you. I picked up drugs when I was a teen,
Yeah.
16, 17. Um, 7 overdoses. I've been in the
Wow.
hospital, in a coma on life support.
Wow.
And I got clean from the drugs, like the hard drugs, and I want to say I was 22. I want to say 22. And it was just within the last year that I had picked up gummies
Yeah.
or whatnot. Because that was never my go-to, was never marijuana. I never really had a uh, draw towards it,
Yeah.
you know. So I was into the harder stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
So when did you When did you have your last drink?
Hey everyone, thank you so much for listening and for all the love and support you've shown so far. I truly hope you're enjoying part one of Nikki's amazing testimony. It's been such a blessing to hear her heart and her story. I'm praying for each of you as you listen, and I'm so grateful for this community. I can't wait for you to dive deep into the rest of Nikki's journey in the next week's episode, which drops next Monday. Love you all, and I can't wait to share more soon.